Hey there, welcome to the Friday Wrap. Okay, last week we started a series on the share market. We'll be on 3 or 4 weeks talking about different topics about the share market. Last week we talked about the different markets around the world, Asian markets, European markets, the US markets and the different ones inside them, the S&P and the Dow and the NASDAQ. And then in Europe we had the CAC, we had the FTSE. In Asia we came all the way down to the ASX. And it is a topic that is just going to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it gets more and more complicated as we go. So this week, we are going to get more complicated, and we're going to talk about the fact that it's not just about shares. We're going to talk about the advice warning, because I don't want you to go and try and do anything that I talk about. Not that you're going to be able to, but it's a complicated world, okay? So let's start right at the beginning. What is a share? A share is a portion of ownership in a company. With the shares that I'm talking about, we're talking about publicly listed companies, Commonwealth Bank, Woolworths, BHP, Rio, all those guys, where you can buy and sell shares in those companies. You can buy them directly. You can own a managed fund, which has exposure to a bigger range of the shares. Hopefully the shares you own go up in value. Hopefully they provide income in the form of a dividend. That's a share. We're not here to talk about shares today. We're here to talk about things in and around shares, okay? One of them is referred to as a derivative. What is a derivative? A derivative is a contract between two or more parties where the value of the derivative is dependent on an underlying asset. If you're listening to this, keep on listening, because it will make sense. Underlying assets are things like shares, bonds, commodities, currencies, interest rates, and different market indexes. Why do you have derivatives? To hedge positions, to speculate on the movement of the asset, or to access leverage. Let's have a look at two derivatives. An option. You may have heard of options. People are trading options. An option is an agreement between two parties to either buy or sell an asset at a predetermined date for a specific price. Okay, so there's two types of options: call options and put options. A call option is a contract giving the option buyer the right, but not the obligation, to buy the underlying asset. So if you buy a call option, you've got the ability, you don't have to, but you can if you want to, buy an asset, okay? And then there's a put option. A put option is a contract where the buyer has the right, but not the obligation, to sell the asset. So let me give you an example, because I'm going to make it a whole lot more confusing. If you buy a call option, you might have shares in ABC, or you're looking at shares in ABC, and they're currently trading at $10. You might think they're going to go up in value, but you don't want to buy 1,000 of them at the moment. You'd rather be able to buy them if they did go up. So you can buy a call option on the ABC shares at, say, $10.50 or $10 for that matter, okay? And it might be that we're talking about here the predetermined future date for a specific price. So you might say, I would like the ability to buy ABC shares for $10 at the end of May, okay? And you pay for the option. If at the end of May, the share's gone up, it's worth $12, then you have the ability to buy them at $10. So you buy them at $10, they're worth $12, you've made $2, okay? That's pretty simple. The put option, if you buy a put option, it gives you the right, but not the obligation, to sell the asset. So what I mean by that is you might own the shares in ABC and you're like, I think they're going to go down, but I'm not really sure. So you can buy a put option for $10, so that if the share price goes down to $8 at the end of May, you have the ability to sell them at $10, okay? So that's how that works. Now, you can also sell a call option, and you can also sell a put option, okay? So if you sell a call option, there's an example called covered calls, where you own the shares and you sell the option. So you receive income for the sale of the option, but you gave that buyer the right to buy those shares off you. So you might have sold an option for somebody for $10. They've got the right to buy them from you at $10. If the share price has gone up, they're going to buy them from you at $10, and then they've made the money. Or you can sell a put option. When you sell a put option, it gives the buyer the right to sell those shares to you. So if you sell a put option, you can be obligated to buy the shares. They might be worth $7 and you've got to buy them at $10. Very confusing. I told you it was going to be confusing. Once you get your head around it, it starts to make sense. And the reason I set up here is because it is dependent on the underlying asset. The value of the options are dependent on the value of the shares that you've bought or sold your options against. like I say there, keep in mind you can either buy or sell options. What about futures? Another form of derivative. A future is a contract between two parties for the purchase and delivery of an asset at an agreed price at a future date. What's the difference between options? With the options, you have the ability but not the obligation. If you had bought that call option and the share price was trading below, you're not going to buy the shares below what they're trading at, or you know what I mean? So you don't have to exercise the option. With a future or trading futures, you have the obligation. It must be done. Company A needs to purchase a significant amount of oil in 6 months. It can purchase a futures contract at a set price at the required date that eliminates the risk of oil prices rising. So a future, you must do it. Options, you don't have to do it. Then there's called forwards. Then there's called swaps. Then there's called contracts for difference. But I'm not going to go into all that because it does go deeper and deeper. It does get more and more confusing. The whole point of today is to go, there's a whole world out there, okay? Some people make good money on them. Some people lose good money on them. I just wanted to make you aware of what actually exists. All right, there's the Friday wrap, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you next week.